Erev Tov, everyone. There's a remarkable insight that Ramban, Moshe ben Nachman, in his paper Torah, discusses in this week's Parsha Pekudei. And he says as follows. He says that at the end of Chumash Shmos, it's just Parshas Pekudei, the Jewish people as a whole were able to reach the level of spirituality and connection, Kaviyachol, to the Ribono Shel Olam that existed in the time of the Avos and the Shvatim. So that the whole Chumash Shmos is, so to speak, only to get us back to where we started from. Now, if we think about it, there are a number of great ideas here. First of all, when we think about the Avos and about the Shvatim, so even though we have Midrashim, Avram Avinu Kiyam Kol HaTorah Kulo, Kodem Shenitno, but they had no revelation, they had no Torah, they had no scroll, they had no, they didn't have anything. And they certainly didn't have a Mishkan, and they didn't have the Luchos HaBris. Yet somehow on their own, they were able to reach this level that Kaviyachol, the Ribono Shel Olam, was with them all the time. Yaakov said, "O Elohim haroeh osi," the Ribono Shel Olam, who is my shepherd, all the days of my life, I've never been without him. So in spite of all of the troubles and travail, Esav and Lavan and the Machalukas and the Shvatim and the Shechem and the whole story, Elokim haroeh me'odi ad hayom hazeh. So that was a level of achievement, of personal achievement, that a person can say, the Ribono Shel Olam is with me. And that's based on that is what David HaMelech says in Tehillim, the chapter that we all know, Hashem roi lo echsor. The Ribono Shel Olam is with me all the time. So that's the level of spirituality and godliness that, so to speak, we should attempt to achieve. That the Lord should be a presence within us at all times. So it's not just a question, I believe in something. So I can believe in many things, but they're not with me at that moment. How does one achieve that it should be with them? And one of the hallmarks, I feel, of Eastern European Jewry was that the Ribono Shel Olam Kaviyachol was somehow a living presence in their communities and in their homes. I remember yet from my youth, homes of Eastern European Jews in Chicago that I knew, you walked in the door, you knew that the Ribono Shel Olam was there. That it mattered. It wasn't just a slogan. So the Ramban says that when the Avos passed away and the Shvatim passed away, Vayomas Yosef Echo v'chol hador hahu, so the Jewish people found themselves in Mitzrayim. And soon they would find, first they found themselves in luxury. Luxury, to a great extent, does not coincide with godliness. too much is not good. And that's why Chazal said, not to overreach. And we see in our world today, how things happen that are unimaginable to us, why a person should behave that way. Why should he overreach like that? But that's the nature of human beings. And Chazal say, Mi sheyesh lo mono rotze masayim. He who has 100 wants 200. So the Balei Musar say, he who has 100, he counted that he have 100. He knows that he has 100. So then he wants 200. He doesn't know what he has. He doesn't, So then that's an antidote to it. Chazal say that ein lecha brocha bedover ela bedover shesomu min ayin. Only something that's hidden, that it's not ostentatious. It's not something that you flaunt. But the temptation is there. So the Jewish people lived in luxury. They lived in Eretz Goshen. Vayifru, vayirbu, vayatzmu mod. They became many, and they became great, and they became wealthy. And then the reaction set in. And they became avodim ayinu lefaro b'mitzrayim. So not only didn't they have the level of godliness that the Avos had, they didn't have their freedom anymore. They had nothing. They were avodim. And then there were terrible gzeirot against them. Kol habein ayilod ayoro tashlichu. And if you're short on the quota of bricks, we'll put in a child. And then the Jewish people come out. Miraculously, we're going to have the Yontav of Pesach soon, Emir Tzashem. So we come out, but we come out wounded. Halolo of the Avodah Zorah, Halolo of the Avodah Zorah, the Malachim said. The Jewish people, it's a trauma. You don't get over a trauma just with a slogan. So then the Ribono Shel Olam saves them from Egypt, saves them on Yam Suf, delivers bread from heaven, gives them miraculous water, sustains them in the desert. And then there's the revelation at Sinai. The Jewish people say, Na'aseh v'nishma. So at that moment they understood it. It says in the Chumash, Vayechazu esu Elohim. They had a physical manifestation of God. God was with them. And that's why Moshe, again in an overreach, says, Hareini noas kvodecha. And the Ribono Shel Olam refuses. He says, that's as far as we go. Kilo yirani odom v'choy. And then we have the Mishkan. Because of the Egel. So whether the Egel happened before or after makes no difference. The Egel happened. So when the Egel happens, they fall again, right? It's not Na'aseh v'nishma anymore. We said, the Ribono Shel Olam said, Lo yeh lecho Elohim acherim al ponai, lo sishtach elehem, lo se'ovdeim. And they made an Egel. So that disappeared again. So now they build the Mishkan. And the Mishkan is built by the combined efforts and generosity of the whole Jewish people. And the Mishkan, as we'll see in this week's parsha, it says, Hukam HaMishkan. The Mishkan is miraculous. Nobody could pick up those boards. I mean, 32 feet tall, out of cedar wood. There's no human being that can do it and hold it all together. Who come on Mishkan? The Rebbeinu Shalom had to help. And so the Jewish people realized that. And that's why the Medrash says the menorah was created miraculously. And that's why in the cheshbon that we have here in Pekudei of what happened with all the money, every agorah is accounted for, something which never happens in Jewish life. Because there are expenses. There's overhead. There are all sorts of things. I remember that a foundation that I was allied with was audited by the Internal Revenue Service in America. When the audit was over, the agent said, well, everything's perfect, fine, no problem. He said, you know why we audited you? I said, no. He says, because on your statements you claimed that 95% of the money went for the purpose. So we said there's no foundation that can operate that they only take 5%. So something's wrong. So I pointed out that nobody took salaries, and that a lot of times when you had to travel, you traveled on your own expenses. So here you had the Mishkan that was 100%. Nobody took anything. And it was that sense of honesty, and it was the creation of the Mishkan by all of Klal Yisrael together, that the Ramban says restored themselves to the level of the Avos. Restored themselves to the level that God was with them. Kvod Hashem was in the Mishkan. And they could see it every morning, the Anan HaKavod. And so that became the goal, so to speak, of the Jewish people throughout their history. So when Shlomo Melech builds the Beis HaMikdash, so he says, Ato Marta Lishkon Ba'arofel, you said you're going to dwell in heaven, and now you're going to dwell on earth. That's what the Beis HaMikdash was supposed to be. So we all know that God dwells in heaven. We all believe that. But the occasions when we can transfer that belief that He dwells here on earth, that He dwells in our homes and in our families, in our community, that's the challenge. The Ramban even goes further, and he says that's why we say at the end of Shmos, Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek. We should strengthen ourselves in that. That's what the Chazak means. It's not Chazak that we finished something. It's Chazak that we should strengthen ourselves, that we should also reach that same level of achievement that Klal Yisrael achieved at the end of Chumash Shmos at Parshas Pekudei. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Omer Ratza Kadosh Baruch Hu L'Zakas Es Yisrael L'Ficha Chir B'Lahem Torah Mitzvah Shenemar Adonai Chavei Tzaman Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yadir.